Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm really excited to be here to share some of my learnings in indigenous food sovereignty and food system here in Canada. So I'm starting from this place. This is the place where I come from in Nepal. It's between India and China, and where I was born, and I have very deep connection with this place. But when I came here, I knew that I came in the treaty lands where the indigenous nations share their land with people from other different countries. And this map also reminds me of the indigenous nations' contribution to promote other people's growth in Canada. And I had an opportunity to attend SWEET last year when Ian was taking us as part of field trip. And I learned that the celebrations and the indigenous institutions play a very important role in understanding or in promoting the food system and transferring the knowledge to the younger people. This is the food I love most, Nepali food. So if I do not eat this food for 2 days, then I really miss this food. And so I would also think of that for the people, they love their food, right? So food is really important, but the food that they got from their ancestors, from their own land. And unfortunately, we lost this elder last December. But when we were working with him, he was saying that if you want to know our food system, come to us and ask what kind of food we like, not just don't impose. So I had an opportunity to taste this food, Ojibwe Nation's food that was served in the Indigenous Food Sovereignty Summit last week here in Winnipeg. Really nice food, wild rice, the fish, and also topping the green. So it was really nice to taste. So my work is building on the work of these people, Victor Harper, Nora Whiteway, Jonathan Harper, and my professional advisor, Dr. Shirley Thompson. So it's more connecting with the communities. And I'm building on the work they did and working on their archives, especially land use mappings. And I'm learning more about the indigenous nations' food systems and their livelihood from these communities in northeastern Manitoba, Island Lake Nations. And my master's research is more focused on Wasagamok First Nation and how they use their land, and I'm trying to apply some of the GIS techniques and see the territories and how they use their territories. So a small effort I applied to learn that, so they are into their territories for different kind of activities, fishing, hunting, berries collection. So they are not only limited to the reserves, they're into the territories, and like they travel a lot. So I just tried to calculate the aerial distance. It ranges from 50 kilometers to 135 kilometers. They travel with canoe and they walk, so that's way more than the actual aerial distance. So they are into their territories, they are using their ancestral territories. And I tried to apply the density analysis of the land uses. They went in their territories. I'm still trying to see how this information can be applicable, can be useful for the community. So it shows their land uses for different activities. And interestingly, in last week's Indigenous Food Sovereignty Summit, I learned that there are different pillars of indigenous food sovereignty ranging from land, elders' role, youth, spirit and celebrations, language, women. So these pillars are very important that I learned from them, and they would like to see this go together and very much interlinked. And I had an opportunity to work with some community members from Island Lake to work on the permaculture design, and we came up with this kind of design. So I really learned a lot from them, what kind of plants or the foods they want. However, I see a lot of challenges from policy perspective. For example, I learned that there is an Indian Act specifically for the indigenous nations that really dispossesses them from their own land. It's a very challenge, and they are suffering because of this kind of policies. And also the mines, if people want to go for exploration and mining, they can easily go. So these kind of policies are there, kind of challenges and barriers for achieving indigenous food sovereignty. and indigenous livelihood. And sometimes I question myself in front of this big building. So what is my role here then? Because I'm learning here, and how I can contribute, how I can contribute to decolonization. Or is there my role? Is there any role I can play? Because there are established institutions and there are a lot of challenges as well as opportunities. But some of these elders, they said that if you are non-indigenous, don't afraid, come to us, learn from us, and help us, work with us, don't take away. So elders guiding I found really important and helpful, and that also led me to think differently, and I explored this, treaty relationships, the historic treaties between the nations, indigenous nations and the other nations. I think I have a role to play here to understand the true intent of the treaties, not only from one side, but from both sides, and also the treaty commitments and the relationships, and also the declarations for the indigenous rights. And I think I have a role to play and contribute and understand and share it to a wider group, and also apply in my research and then contribute for indigenous food sovereignty. So I'm happy that now I'm a part of this Mino Bima Dijwin partnership. Mino Bima Dijwin, it means good life. So Dr. Shirley Thompson is the principal investigator, and I'm finding my role here to understand more about the indigenous food systems and how I can contribute to decolonize the food systems. Thank you very much.